In the global village, we may speak different languages and we may eat different foods, but we all share the same sky. And it turns out we haven't done such a great job of sharing the sky, and climate change is really bringing home the consequences of that for us. And it's here in Bangladesh and in places like it that you can see the impact of climate change on the poorest of the poor.
Scientists have known since the 19th century that carbon dioxide and other greenhouse gases warm the planet. 150 years of industrial development has pushed the amount of these gases in our shared sky to their highest levels in at least 650,000 years. These extra gases have warmed the world by almost 1 degree already and are causing changes to the climate that are making hard lives even harder for our poorest neighbours in the global village. Poor people in places like Bangladesh are the ones experiencing its earliest and worst effects, though they've done little or nothing to cause the problems. Bangladeshis have always had to cope. Like people everywhere, they're resilient and resourceful, but climate change will push their capacity to cope to the limit. Climate change is increasing the number and scale of extreme weather-related events, what we sometimes call natural disasters. Bangladesh already has too much experience of cyclones and floods and is seeing the problems get worse. Changes to monsoon rain and increasingly rapid melting of the Himalayan glaciers means that flooding in Bangladesh has steadily increased over the decades. There were 5 floods in the 1960s, 9 floods in the 70s, 16 in the 80s and 24 in the 90s. Now you can't point to any one cyclone or event and say that's because of global warming, but you can look at events that fit with emerging trends. Cyclone SIDR, which struck in November 2007, was one of Bangladesh's strongest and most destructive cyclones, with an official death toll of 3,500 people. Some estimates go much higher.
So Cyclone SIDR pretty much came directly through here with wind speeds of about 200 kilometres an hour and caused immense devastation. People lost their livelihoods, lost animals, lost crops, they lost homes. A lot of people lost loved ones and family.
Climate change is already a reality in Bangladesh, and communities are rising to the challenge. So what about us? A lawyer once asked Jesus the question, "Who is my neighbour?" And it's pretty easy for us to want to limit our circle of concern the same way. Who is our neighbour? Who do we really have to look out for? And who can we ignore? But Jesus tells the story of the Good Samaritan and turns that question around to ask, will we act as neighbours when we see someone suffering? So we have to ask, how are we to love our neighbours when our carbon-intensive economies and lifestyles are contributing to climate change, making poor communities even more vulnerable? Will we acknowledge the ways we contribute to the problem of global warming? And will we actively work to become part of the solution?